me tell you something, brother. Me and the Warrior are running wild as the champs, and there ain't no team strong enough to... Huh? Warrior, what's that? The gods of the warrior spirit are whispering in my ear. There's something we should be worried about. Ha! You may have the muscles and the paint, but after tonight the dream team will be cutting you down to size. Hola, amigos, it's Will here from Will's Custom Figures, coming at you today with a big bad breakdown of none other than Greg the Hammer Valentine, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, aka the Dream Team. So please guys, sit back and relax while I talk you through how and why I made this absolutely legendary former champion tag team and all the details in between. So first things first. Let's bring you some Hasbro wrestling in retro WWF style. Now, this pairing was one of the most underrated heel tag teams of their era. They were managed by luscious Johnny Valiant, and they held the WWF tag team titles and brought a mix of flashy arrogance and hard-hitting toughness to the division. Love that signed picture. Now, after being tasked with the project, I had to think about the parts and how I was actually going to put this set together. But before I get into all the specifics about how I made them, that's coming later in the video, let's get into a little bit about the history and the lore. Greg the Hammer Valentine, he was born in 1951. He was the son of wrestling legend Johnny Valentine. He debuted as a pro wrestler in 1970, and here you can see him next to Scott Steiner, British Bulldog. He wrestled across territories like Mid-Atlantic before coming to the WWF, and he was known for his figure four leg lock and his brutal grinding pace in the ring. Now, Greg was also the WWF Intercontinental Champion and the Tag Team Champion, as I mentioned earlier, as we bring in the legendary Ultimate Warrior. Now, Greg was a legit tough guy with staying power. He retired officially in 2019, though he made appearances for decades after. And here, of course, is one of the major contemporaries, rest in peace, Hollywood Hulk Hogan. And I love a size comparison next to the Hulkster because he is officially like the benchmark of all wrestling figures during this era. Now, of course, let's bring in Bam Bam Bigelow and New Jack. New Jack, of course, being a custom figure that I recently created. Check back on the channel if you like some of that ECW action figure reviews. And Bam Bam Bigelow. There was nobody better than this guy. And what an absolutely brilliant outfit and attire there as Greg just whacks him and smashes him off into another dimension. Now, bringing in snazzy characters before I get into Brutus Beefcake, I just reviewed Drake Maverick, aka Spud, and look at that suit. Oh my God, this is up there with some of the most classy, badass outfits of all time that I've had the chance to work on. But it pales in comparison, I think, to some of the intricacy and the innovative mind that went into creating Greg the Hammer Valentine's gown. Now, bringing in Brutus Beefcake here next to Luke Harper, aka Brody Lee, another custom WWF Hasbro wrestling figure that you might have seen previously on this channel. Now, Brutus Beefcake, his real name is Edward Leslie. He was born in 1957 as we bring in Jack Black, aka Nacho Libre, into the video. He debuted in 1977, initially as Brutus Beefcake, a flashy heel with a flamboyant set of ring gear. Now, he was known for his sleeper hold, later transitioning into his famous barber gimmick, where he'd become best friends with Hulk Hogan and he'd cut his opponent's hair after the matches. What a crazy time to be alive and look at some of these gimmicks. Of course, he was former WWF Tag Team Champion with Greg the Hammer Valentine, the man you can see before you, and he retired in the early 2000s, inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2019. Now, you can probably see the original Greg the Hammer Valentine figure just in the bottom left there. It just popped up and it's vanished. Now, he has had his own figure created, and I really like it. As a child, I didn't really know the difference at the time between Greg the Hammer Valentine and Hulk Hogan. They both had blonde hair, and they both looked really cool as action figures. However, I was probably 8 or 9 at the time, didn't understand the wrestling world. Greg the Hammer Valentine had indeed carved his own path way before the Hulkster came along. Now, Hasbro never gave us a true Dream Team set in the retro figure days. So that's where Will's Custom Figures steps in. Now, as you can see here, a lot of clay work has went all over the physique and the body of Greg Valentine. And it's been very, very important to make sure all of the little nuances, like these massive draping sleeves that come down over the arm that were created with Super Sculpey clay, have been added onto this body. Now, in addition to that, it was a 3D head sculpt. You can see the 3D head sculpt isn't quite perfect. Here you go, bottom left corner, Greg Valentine out the box. But yeah, lots of Vallejo paints, lots of clay. And here's a nice little picture of the WWF Bushwhackers tag team and the bottom left corner, which I used to create this set. Now here is the one and only Brutus. Bringing him in, there was a lot of customizing to do here, guys, and again using the Bushwhackers base body for this. Now, as far as the legs, I'm 99% sure they're a set of Mr. Perfect legs. I can't remember now. I pieced this set together quite some time ago. However, super glue has been a massive, massive help for this, and as you can see with the tiger stripes here and that picture that just popped up on screen of the old school Brutus Beefcake figure with, again, the tiger stripes. Now, making this look absolutely real was the most important thing to me. I needed to make sure the hair was perfect, the tights were perfect, the facial details, and of course, I did all that using Super Sculpey clay as always. Now, focusing in here, he's got a sort of a lime green design on the gloves, which I really, really liked. And of course, this was years before he started cutting people's hair. But the tiger striped here, I used a beautiful leather brown colour to create that, and also added on the sleeves onto the arms of the original Bushwhacker body. And of course, on the front of the outfit, adding this massive collar and the bow tie as well. Now, the head doesn't articulate left and right, and I did use Citadel Kislev flesh for the skin tones, and I'm really, really happy with how that's turned out. I love mint on card, however, the bottom left corner, this is a picture just from Google of somebody that's opened up one of the more rarer Brutus the Barber Beefcake figures, and Super Sculpey clay has allowed me, as you can see in this shot here, to be as flamboyant and added all the little intricate details as possible. I think most WWF Hasbro collectors would be shocked to know that this set came from the Bushwhackers and parts from the other WWF line, because this set really, really does look like an absolutely unique tag team that was created and sculpted, and I'm very proud of the work here. Now, just as I bring the Dream Team in against some of their contemporaries and the other pro wrestlers with WWF Hasbro action figures from that era, here's a few interesting facts. Now, Greg Valentine was notorious for taking bumps slow on purpose. He said he liked to warm up during a match and never start fast, which I really love. And Brutus once wrestled under a mask as the Butcher and the Zodiac in WCW. Now, my final reflections before bringing this video to a close. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Now, creating the Dream Team was a blast. From resculpting the Bushwhacker bases with Super Sculpey to painting on the iconic Valentine blonde hair and Beefcake's colourful flair. These customs are a perfect tribute to an underrated tag team and one of the most badass teams in wrestling history. Now, what's next for this channel, guys? I'm working on pro wrestlers from AEW, from the modern era, from the old era, and everything else in between, whether or not it's Marvel Legends, DC, I've got some Pokemon and everything else in between. So please, guys, stay tuned. Now, guys, thanks for watching another episode of Will's Custom Figures. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe here on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Will's Custom Figures for more behind-the-scenes pictures, work-in-progress shots, and upcoming projects. Now it's time for a montage. So please let me know in the comment section below who your favourite tag team from the golden era of WWF was. Share this video with fellow wrestling fans. And as always, stay tuned for more customs coming very, very soon. From me, from Greg the Hammer Valentine, from Brutus the Barber Beefcake, here are some of the most iconic shots of this phenomenal tag team for you to sit in awe of. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Adios!